hated lovey-dovey couples, but look at me now. We arranged to meet by the flower garden in the park, the perfect location for a daisy. On the way, I had mixed feelings. I was both excited about seeing my online boyfriend for the first time and also worried. I mean, what if he didn't like me? As I arrived, I saw the back of a guy who was wearing a red hoodie. That must be him. What should I do now? Okay, so I took a deep breath, then walked up behind him and timidly said, Hi, Roger. Is that you? He turned around, and to my shock, I saw that it was Sam, my dearest brother. Alice, what are you doing here? He asked. What? I'm here to meet my online boyfriend. What about you? I raised an eyebrow. Me too. I'm meeting a girl. My girlfriend, Daisy. He flustered out. Are you? Roger? I spluttered out and ended up biting my tongue in the process. Ouch! There was this awkward silence as we both stood there letting the awful truth soak in. Ugh! I swear it was weird to think back on our messages and talking before. I got goosebumps at the thought of my brother's sweet words earlier. I couldn't take this anymore, so I muttered out something about going home, then walked off. But I wasn't paying attention and walked straight into the flower garden and ended up trampling on the flowers, which received disapproving tuts from an onlooker. Oops! I couldn't really go home. It was way too embarrassing. So I wandered aimlessly around the park. Can you guys imagine it? The boy that had filled my dreams for the last 2 months turned out to be my brother. Now I knew why we had so many things in common. Because we were siblings. It started getting dark, but I was still in the park, sitting on a bench and wondering when my life turned into such a mess. Then Sam messaged me saying, Where are you? Come back home. I replied, No way! I don't want to see your face ever again. He replied, That's not what you said earlier. Trust him to make a joke out of this, but nothing about this situation was funny. Ugh! I replied, This is all your fault. I'm never coming home. Ever. Then he messaged back, Stop being overdramatic. I told Mom you went to Kimmy's. Come home for dinner now. I didn't want to go home, but it was freezing out here, and I guess I was feeling hungry. Why could Sam be all warm and well-fed while I was cold and miserable? I arrived home to see Sam sitting at the dinner table. I tried my best to avoid eye contact with him, but I ended up turning into a clumsy oaf and dropped a forkful of pasta on my lap. That was so gonna stain. Sam stood up and brought me a tissue box, which made me feel way more awkward. My parents must have found it odd that Sam and me weren't arguing for once, so Mom said, You two seem to love each other for once, huh? She was just joking, but I could feel my face turning red. I glanced at my brother, and he seemed even more embarrassed than me. As awkward as it was, we needed to talk to clear the air. So, after dinner, I messaged him to meet me outside, and we went for a walk. Finally, I broke the silence. Listen, I know this is the most awkward thing ever. I thought I loved Roger, but now that I know he's you, well, I don't feel the same anymore. He replied, Yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot, and I agree with you on the feelings and stuff. I mean, you're my annoying sister. Who knew we had so much in common? But I guess it makes sense, as I taught you all the cool stuff you know. He grinned. So, are we cool? I looked at him. Yeah, we're cool, Potato Head. He grinned as he knocked my head, and then in a taunting voice added, Hey, what do you think you were doing going online to find a boyfriend? You could have met a serial killer. I grimaced. You online dated too. And instead of a serial killer, I have met a guy who pretends to be a cool big brother, huh? It wasn't all lies. I do help you with your chores, or else you must get kicked out of our house for your laziness." He laughed. "Sorry, bro, I've never seen that. You should do it more often." I sneered as I play hit his arm. We both looked at each other and then burst out laughing. So, this is my story. Pretty awkward, huh? Thankfully, my brother and I are now back to normal. Obvs, neither of us have mentioned it to each other since. As for true love, well, I hope my time will come, but I'm in no hurry to go looking for it. Online dating is not for me. I have to admit, it is kind of funny thinking back on it. I mean, if one day in the future my children ask me about my first love, would I have to answer them, "It was your Uncle Sam?" Yeah. I don't think I'll be telling them that.